Max on Boxing. Fans of all kinds of all sports, welcome back to Max on Boxing. I'm Max Kellerman, and Mike Coppinger joins me right off the top of the show to get into everything. Mike, last week you were here and said we were close to a deal between Ryan Garcia and Tank Davis, and now it seems that we actually have a contract. What details can you share?
Max, it really seems like the bigger the fight, the slower these things move. But yes, we're moving closer and closer. Oscar De La Hoya, Ryan Garcia's promoter, received the contract on Tuesday, and I am told there are minor issues they're still ironing out, but that they expect the contracts to be signed next week for a fight between Ryan Garcia and Gervonta Davis at 136-pound catchweight on April 15th in Las Vegas. I don't expect anything to hold this up.
I mean, I love every time I'm on social media looking for the latest. It's always De La Hoya. Even if he's giving you news, it's with the shirt off now because he's got the six-pack back, right? He's got, I suppose if I had the six-pack, I would do this show also with the shirt off. Mike, last week we also got into Tyson Fury and Oleksandr Usyk for the undisputed heavyweight championship of the world. What is the latest?
The latest there, Max, there is an issue with the site, and the promoters involved, I'm told, want this fight in late April at Wembley Stadium in London. And Tyson Fury, of course, is a huge star there. And if the fight lands in London, Fury wants a much bigger cut of the split. The fight was originally headed to Saudi Arabia, and it could still land there where they had a 50-50 split around there. So now they're trying to go back to Usyk, trying to get him to agree to a lesser split. Of course, he doesn't want to. So a bit of an issue at the moment. I don't expect the fight to fall apart. But the only thing holding it up is the site. Is it going to be in London and Wembley, or is it going to be in Saudi Arabia? And that's going to determine what happens here.
Right, and negotiating for money still, that's what it sounds. How about the guy Usyk won the title from, Anthony Joshua? What is next for AJ?
Yeah, AJ, he's lost twice in a row, both to Usyk. No shame in that, of course, Max. But he's going to return April 1st, and he's looking for a softer touch. The front runner at the moment, I'm told, is Jermaine Franklin, who I thought eked out a decision against Dillian White in the fall. Dillian White got the decision, and now I spoke to Dimitri Salita, who promotes Jermaine Franklin. He said no official offer yet, but he expects to receive one, and he believes that his fighter is the front runner. But that's going to be April 1st.
Salita, a solid fighter in his own right in his day. What can you tell us about a possible Deontay Wilder-Andy Ruiz fight?
All indications, Max, are that Wilder and Ruiz are going to fight. The WBC ordered that fight as a final eliminator for the title held by Tyson Fury, and I expect it to happen. I think, again, they're looking at a site. I've heard maybe the Middle East, but Al Heyman handles both guys, so that would be a surprise. I think it would land in the U.S., and last I heard they were looking at May, but now I'm told Spence and Thurman are going to go in May. And you can't do two pay-per-views, of course, in the same month. So I'm not sure when and where that's headed, but that's the fight I expect for sure.
This is one of the great eras of heavyweight boxing. It appears, at least, that we are in the middle stages of a legitimately great heavyweight era. There haven't been that many of them, the 70s, the 90s. You could argue maybe one or two others throughout boxing history, where you have a bunch of really good fighters in their primes getting together. But it's not just the Fury and the Wilder trilogy, or 4 or 5, we'll get to that, but it's those underneath, those fights that support. When Joshua fought Ruiz the first time, that was a great fight. It was a terrific fight. And the idea of Wilder and Ruiz, those are the kind of supporting fights when the top contenders, colorful contenders with punching power and skills, where you think, Wilder's punching power gives him an edge, but Ruiz, such a skillful guy, quick hands, throws combinations. The outcome is not predetermined. We don't know. Let's see what happens. Those are the kind of fights that make eras special. I'm glad we're getting this one, and I hope it comes off. Shakur Stevenson joins me next, Mike, and I'm going to ask him about Devin Haney and Vasily Lomachenko. It appears we're heading for that fight. How close is it, though, to being finalized?
That fight's right at the finish line right now, Max, for Devin Haney's undisputed championship at lightweight. And the target date is May 20th, likely in Las Vegas. I'm told Lomachenko has already agreed to his side of the deal, and Haney is going to iron out his side next week. He's going to meet with Top Rank in Las Vegas, where they're both based, and finish this off. So I expect May 20th in Las Vegas, Devin Haney, Vasily Lomachenko, undisputed championship, and really, that's an incredible fight. And it looks like this year's far better. Just the first half of this year is going to be better than the totality of 2022, Max.
Boxing is always healthiest when you have champions like Devin Haney and Vasily Lomachenko. Not that you may prefer another style, more slugging kind of fan-friendly style as opposed, but when you have fighting champions who are like, go get me the number one guy, can't get him, get me the next guy, let's go. And that appears to be Devin Haney, and it has been Vasily Lomachenko, and so no surprise, these guys are fighting each other, although I know Haney has feelings that Lomachenko has ducked him in the past. Last May, Canelo Alvarez lost to Dmitry Bivol at light heavy. Since then, he beat a 40-year-old Gennady Golovkin at super middle in a trilogy fight, right? Is he really going to fight Bivol again? Because that seems like a bad idea to me, Mike. If I was trying to get Canelo beaten, then the guy I would have picked for years would have been Bivol. That's the hardest fight for him. The most fan-friendly fight would be Beterbiev. And I think actually it's not that Beterbiev doesn't have real chances to win that fight, but maybe a more winnable fight for Canelo. What else can you tell me about Canelo-Bivol rematch?
Well, I spoke to Eddie Hearn this week. He said that the plan right now, he believes, is Canelo Alvarez is going to fight John Ryder in May and then pursue a fight with Bivol, but this time at 168, where Canelo remains the undisputed champion rather than 175. And Canelo's been steadfast all along. You know, he had wrist surgery after the fight with Golovkin. He said he wasn't at 100% when he fought Bivol, and now that he had the surgery, he's going to get an easier fight probably against John Ryder. And then he believes between the surgery and also fighting at 168, and also now that he's had 12 rounds with Bivol, he's feeling a lot more confident, I'm told. Bivol, for his part, he said he has no problem fighting Canelo at 168. And he said really that he has no interest in a rematch at 175, considering how easily he beat him. I mean, I had a 10-2. Forget about what the judges said in that fight. And Bivol wants to be an undisputed champion. So I think it's overwhelmingly likely 168, Canelo Bivol in September.
Bivol is really as much a super middleweight as he is a light heavyweight. He's always been kind of a super middle light heavy. Okay, if Canelo can do it, amazing. Kudos, to him for trying, but he might be losing that undisputed super middleweight championship because Bivol can really box. Wrong style for Canelo, who's a very good counterpuncher and can cut off the ring, has quick hands, but his feet are not as quick as his hands. It's a bad combination against a guy like Bivol. And by the way, Benavidez is still out there. And if you want to pinpoint the guy who most people really want to see Canelo fight, it is Benavidez. We'll see how he does against Plant. You broke a story this week, Mike, about Edgar Berlanga and Top Rank parting ways. What happened there?
They just really disagreed on strategy, Max. That's what I was told. They disagreed on strategy going forward. Berlanga, of course, made his name with 16 first-round knockouts in his first 16 fights, and now his last 4 fights have all gone the distance. And then in the last 2 or 3, he hasn't looked all that great as the competition has raised. Of course, Berlanga, not a guy that got a lot of experience, with all those 16, first-round knockouts. But they disagreed going forward. They didn't. And now Berlanga, Top Rank, they have parted ways. Berlanga's a free agent, and I think we're going to see him sign with either Eddie Hearn or Al Heyman. It's not like there's a ton of options. But I wouldn't be surprised if he goes with Al Heyman and PBC.
They have to be very careful with his matchmaking at this stage pretty clearly. All right, Naoya Inoue is giving up all his bantamweight belts. He's the guy at 118 pounds, but he plans on fighting as a junior featherweight. Does he go straight for a belt in now his 4th division, Mike?
Inoue, I've said it time and again, I think he's the best fighter in the world, pound for pound. And I'm told that right now he's in the contract stage for a fight against Stephen Fulton for Fulton's 2 122-pound titles. That's being targeted for May in Japan, where Inoue is a star, and that will be on the morning in the U.S. on ESPN+. And Max, that is an incredible fight. Not the name value in the U.S. of some of these other fights we've talked about earlier in the show, but I mean, I would put Fulton, top 15 pound for pound, maybe even higher. Inoue, I have number 1. And that deal is going to get done. They've already agreed to terms, just finalizing stuff in the contract right now. And what a fight that is. Props to both guys.
And just watching the highlights of the monster against Donaire, I got to say, Donaire is such a warrior. I mean, he's clearly faded. He's not what he once was. He was a great fighter in his prime, great puncher. But what a warrior that guy is to be as go through as many, I don't want to call him shop-worn, but as Robson Conceição, who was an Olympic gold medalist, by the way, at lightweight in the same Olympics that you silvered in a lighter weight division. I thought of that going in as a tough fight. How do you think you did?
I thought I did good. I think it was an okay performance. I think I should have got him out of there, but he was tough. You know, you gotta give him credit. He's an Olympic gold medalist. He came there. It seemed like he wanted to survive. He fought back at times too, so I give him credit, but I think I should have got him out of there.
Mike Coppinger, who I just spoke to in the last segment, reported that you're going to be facing Suichiro Yoshino in your next fight in April. What do you think of Yoshino?
I think he's a good fighter. I think that I think I heard some critics saying stuff about it, but he just coming off a win against Nakatani, so I feel like he earned it. He stopped Nakatani faster than Lomachenko did, and he put on a solid performance. So you gotta give him credit.
You know, you and I have had this conversation through now the years on this show when you've come on along the lines of, and I'm going to ask you another form of it. Guys like Floyd Mayweather, who just kept winning, Pernell Whitaker before that, great defensive fighters who reached the pinnacle pound for pound. But in terms of their ability to draw a crowd, it seems to me harder for a guy like that than a guy like, for example, Tank Davis, right? Who's a knockout guy, an aggressive fighter. The fights are maybe not as one-sided as yours, but they generate excitement. Do you feel like as your career, and Floyd compensated for some of that by having a big personality outside the ring, is your basic career strategy, man, I'm just going to keep on winning, and so since I'm so blue chip, eventually I'm the number one guy? Or do you feel the pressure to entertain with knockouts along the way?
I do feel the pressure a little bit, but at the end of the day, the cream always rise to the top. So I feel like I'm a winner. I'm gonna keep winning. I'm not gonna stop winning. And if them dudes is selling out, if these big punchers and all these people are selling out stadiums, what they gonna do when they fight me?
Haney will sell out the stadium, you would think, and maybe not win. Haney Lomachenko, Shakur, looks like it's going to happen in the coming months. Are you hoping that you are next for the winner?
Yeah, I know I deserve to be next for the winner. I think that that's the big fight in our weight class, and I think that I should be next in line. It's depending on what Haney does if he do wins though.
So Tank Davis, whom I just mentioned, because push come to shove, I feel like, I think probably, you and I have talked about this, super fights are not promoted into existence. They happen when the dust settles and these two dudes are left standing in the era, like Hagler and Hearns, Ali and Frazier, Pacquiao and Mayweather. When I look at this era, I see you and I see Tank Davis. He is also at lightweight, and he's scheduled to fight Ryan Garcia. So while the actual champion of the division is Devin Haney, there's only one lightweight champ. It is Devin Haney. He is undisputed. He's taking on a recent dominant former champion, in Lomachenko. But there's like this parallel universe being created that Tank has around him where he's such a big draw, he doesn't actually have to fight the very top to be a big star and make a lot of money, right? If he beats Garcia and he's favored to do it, and you eventually beat the winner of Haney Lomachenko, do you think Tank will fight you at lightweight, or will he be able to ignore you for now and continue to make big events without ever really having to fight for the title?
Nah, I think Tank will fight me. I think that when it comes down to it, I think that me and him is gonna be the last two standing, like you said, and I think that two special talents, we're gonna deserve to meet, and when the fight happens, it's gonna be a big event. It's gonna be one of the biggest and best fights in boxing.
And when we get to that stage, we're not going to do Crawford and Spence, right? We're going to figure out a way to get this thing done while everyone's in their primes and all that, Shakur. Is that how you're feeling?
Yeah, I ain't gonna throw no shade on them. I don't know what they got going on their situation, but I do know Tank, and I know him for a long time, and I know he's not scared. So I think that with me and him fighting, it's definitely gonna come down to the business part, and we're gonna make it happen.
Let me be very clear. I'm not throwing any shade either. It's never the fighters, not usually the top fighters who are scared. It's the promoters, it's the networks who have business interests, stuff like that. But sometimes when a fighter, even on the side of the network that thinks, no, we have interests, we don't want to fight that guy, when that fighter draws a line and puts his foot down and says, look, I'm fighting this dude next, he can make that fight happen. I do some version of this with you basically every time you're on the show, okay? Give me your wish list, your next 3 opponents. If you could snap your fingers and get them in the ring, I want to know, after this next fight, 1, 2, 3, who do you think, who would it be?
I'm fighting Yoshino next, so it's Yoshino right now. Probably then the winner out of
Haney and Loma.
not Tanking, Haney and Loma, and then probably Tank third.
That would be, well, look at that. That's the exact same wish list we have. Shakur, when you say you think you should have gotten him out of there, talking about Conceição, when I asked you earlier, what do you think you need to work on in your game? It doesn't matter who you are, if you're the best pound-for-pound fighter in the world, what you've proved, there's always more to learn. There are always things to improve on. What in your game right now do you see where you go, I'd like to be better at that?
I think it's more so staying disciplined. I think I don't blame the weight, but I blame kind of like, cutting all that weight fight week, and I feel like as the fight went on while he was grabbing me, it kind of like weirded me down a little bit. So I'd probably say just staying more disciplined. I think that's what I've been focused on lately, like keeping my discipline and not doing it, like not gaining more weight than I should be, and keeping my weight at a steady weight for this weight class.
You're referring to the fact that you missed weight and had to give up the title on the scales against Conceição, but you were kept in the division probably too long, and fighters experience this nowadays because of the weigh-in the day before the fight. Years and years ago, you weighed in day of the fight. So you couldn't fight 2 divisions over where you really belong. Do you feel, before I let you go, that lightweight is a home for a minute for you, or do you already feel like junior welter is not far away?
Nah, I feel like lightweight is a home for a minute. I think that this the weight class that I'm going to take over and reign for a long time. This definitely a weight class I can see myself being undisputed in.
Shakur Stevenson, always great to see you. Thanks for coming on the show as always, and best of luck.
Appreciate you.
For Max Me Anything, your questions, my answers, 1 round. Ring the bell. All right, Tom asks, if Wilder beats Ruiz and Fury beats Usyk, what are the odds of a 4th battle between Wilder and Fury? After the 2nd fight, I wasn't excited about a 3rd. That turned out to be a classic. #boxing, #Max Me Anything. I agree. Like Fury said, fighting Wilder's like holding a stick of dynamite, right? It could go off at any second. Yeah, and by the way, if he deserves another crack at Fury, make the fight. It'll always sell. It should always be very interesting. At Alex77 wants to know, would you favor Shakur's defense or Tank's offense in a fight between the two? If they're at similar levels, I usually like the guy who can defend, and Shakur is the more defensive fighter. Damian says, you don't know as much as you think you know if you don't have Floyd Mayweather as the GOAT. Oh, the irony. Well, let's put it this way, Damian. One of us may not know as much as they think they do. One of us. That may be true of one of us. Ryan wants to know, does Bivol and Beterbiev happen? And if so, who takes the W and how? That is a tremendous fight at light heavy. But, and it may be different because Beterbiev is a bigger fighter, really naturally, than Bivol. Even though they fight the same weight class, he's a little bigger. But like Shakur and Tank, give me the guy who can box, who's more multi-dimensional. I usually think he wins. That would be Bivol. By the way, not that Beterbiev can't fight. He can. Can really fight. He can box too a little bit. Rocks on Ice asks, thoughts on Davis versus Garcia and Spence versus Crawford? Could this be the best year of boxing to date? No, it could not. I cannot imagine what could possibly happen this year that would make it the greatest year in the history, the long history of boxing. However, getting Gervonta and Garcia is good, and getting Spence and Crawford would be great. All right, that'll do it for Max Me Anything. Tweet me your questions to @Max Kellerman, and maybe your question will be answered on the show. A little more Max on Boxing after the break.